Hello and welcome to Mile High Reefers. I'm Scott Anderson, and today I'm going to talk about how I hopefully eliminated ick from my 90-gallon system. So what is ick? Ick is a parasite that attaches itself to a fish and feeds off of that fish. They'll look like little white spots on the fish, and that's not actually the parasite itself, but the results of the parasite feeding. So what will happen is the parasite will feed on your fish. It'll end up falling off into the sand bed or substrate, reproducing, and entering the water column again and finding fish to host again. Now, I don't use real times because these times vary dramatically. The time of reproduction can be like 3 days to 28 days. But the important part to remember is it's going to look like your fish is getting better. He's going to be covered in white spots, and then he's going to be fine for a while, and then the white spots are going to come back. That's the important bit to get from this. So if you have a fish-only system, the easiest way is to dose a copper-based medication. But if you have a reef tank, you can't dose a copper-based medication. If I put copper into this system, it'll be the equivalent of nuking the tank. Every invertebrate is going to die. That's coral, that's crab, that's shrimp, that is everything. So we can't use that. So what did I do? Well, the first thing I tried was Cordon's ick-attack. And I gave that the first 5-day treatment, and after that I decided I didn't like it. Doesn't work, I can't tell you. What I didn't like about it is you have to go without running your protein skimmer for a period of 30 days. Now, for me, that's just not going to happen. I'm not going to go 30 days without running my protein skimmer. So it might work, it might not work. My other problem with it is I didn't see any real scientific data on how it works and why it works. So without that, I'm kind of skeptical. But come take a look. I'll give you a look at my fish because they're better to look at than I am, and I'll kind of go through what I did and how it hopefully eliminated ick from my system. So here is Rankins, my blue or regal or hippo tang, whatever you like to call him. And he is the one that had the ick. Now, the blue tang is also known as the king of ick. They all seem to get it. They all seem to struggle with it. So, or if not all, it's very common with these fish. So, I struggled with it. I tried the Cordon ick-attack, and the ick appeared to go away. I tried lowering my salinity, and it didn't seem to do a whole lot. I was told to raise my temperature. I ran it to 82, and I'm not going any higher than that, and it didn't seem to have a lot of effect. And the reason the temperature probably didn't have any effect is that it can live in temperatures up to 90 degrees. So there's just no way I can run this system at 90 degrees, right? It'll kill everything. So I was running out of options. I got really lucky in that my fish didn't die. It can be a very, very lethal disease. But I had a very healthy fish and a fairly mild case of ick. So between the two of them, I was able to keep them alive. So the very first thing I did was I focused on nutrition. So here's a look at what I fed Rankins to try to keep him as healthy as possible, to hopefully make him as strong as possible so that the ick would have as little effect as possible. So probably the staple of their diet is going to be the New Life spectrum, and it's just a pellet food, and any high quality pellet food is going to work. And remember, this is what I feed because these are what the fish in my tank need. You will have to look at the fish you have and decide what the fish in your tank need. But I feed the New Life spectrum as a pellet. I'll feed this at least once a day. On my days off, I'll feed that 2 or 3 times a day. And then I have some Julian Sprung's sea veggies, which is actually just nori and it comes in sheets. And it's just basically an algae that's been dried and pressed. You put it in there, and the fish will eat it. It floats around. I don't like using the clips. I just throw it in there, and Rankins attacks it immediately. I'll usually give them about a quarter of a sheet. And then PE Mysis. And Mysis are just frozen shrimp that I'll feed every day or two, just depending on my schedule and when I have time to do it. But at least 2 or 3 times a week they'll get it. But to me, focusing on nutrition was a key step in defeating ick. If the fish has bad nutrition, it's going to be that much harder for it to overcome the disease. So to defeat the ick, I went ahead and put together a fish-only system. This is a 55-gallon tank. It's very basic. It's got an AquaSea protein skimmer hanging on the back, a hang on the back filter, a light, a couple power heads, and a heater. Just the very basics to keep a fish happy and healthy. And I did this instead of a normal quarantine tank because I get a little better filtration out of it. You can treat medications in a fish-only system without hurting the invertebrates because there aren't any. So I went with this over a quarantine-only system. There are disadvantages to it, but this is the way I chose to do it. So I put Rankins in here for about 2 months. And lo and behold, he never got the white spots. So what that meant is when I put him in the tank, he was free of the ick parasite. So Rankins lived in here for 2 months. He was ick-free. I then went ahead and moved all of my fish, all the rest of them, the 2 chromies and the clown, into this tank. And left the reef tank fallow for a period of about 2 months. So I took the fish out for 2 months. The tank was completely fallow, which meant that all I had in there were invertebrates and no bony fish for the parasite to feed on. And you're probably thinking the same thing that I had to go through. How terrible was it having your favorite fish tank just completely fallow? Yes, it was terrible, but it did the job. After 2 months, I've put my fish back in, and I also used that time to re-aquascape and add some extra live sand and all that to the tank. But the virus died. The parasite that ick has to live off of fish. So by taking the fish out of the system, they had nothing to eat, so they starved to death, and I, in essence, eradicated the disease without using any chemicals or disease other than the cordon I talked about earlier. So that is one way to do it. If there would have been an ick outbreak in the fish-only system, I would have just got some copper-based medication and dosed in there, and everything would have been fine. But for me, this was a good way to go. Now, I realize this may not work for everybody. As you can see, with all the rocks in the tank, it can be very difficult to catch the fish in there. I mean, when I tried to catch Rankins, I had to tear half my rock work apart to get him. The chromies were terrible. They are some fast little fish when you're going after them with a net. A fish trap may help, but that's what I did. And it's an effective method to eliminate the ick from your system. I do believe that it probably will come back someday, and I will have to deal with it again. Unfortunately, ick is just something everybody has to deal with, and no matter how hard you quarantine, no matter what you do, it seems to find its way in. But for now, I believe I've won the battle, but the war still goes on. So thanks for watching Mile High Reefers. I hope this way of beating ick is intriguing to you. It's by far not the only way to do it, but it works for me. So if you like what I do, go ahead and rate and subscribe. Thanks for watching.